Aaron Rodgers was brought to New York to be the Jets' savior. Instead, the Jets have somehow gotten worse as they continue to find new ways to lose week after week. They fired their head coach and GM, and now there's questions about whether Rodgers will be back for the final year of his deal. Here's Aaron on all the noise around his team earlier this week with his boy, Pat McAfee.
There's a lot of people talking about the game now, both non-players, non-former players, and former players who, are trying to stay relevant fame-wise. So the takes and the criticism, I think, are a lot different than they were maybe in the mid-2000s. These experts on TV who nobody remembers what they did in their career, so in order for them to stay relevant, they have to make comments that keep them in the conversation. That wasn't going on in 2008, 2009. That was non-existent. The Sports Center of my youth, those guys made the highlights so much fun, and that's what they showed on Sports Center. Now it's all talk shows and people whose opinions are so important now, and they believe they're the celebrities now. They're the stars for just being able to talk about sports or give a take about sports, many of which are unfounded or asinine, as we all know. But that's the environment that we're in now.
Asinine, interesting word choice. A hit dog will holler. Stephen A?
I wanted RC and Cam to know I don't have anything to say because when I saw that yesterday, I saw this Wednesday, fellas. I just wanted y'all to know. I just wanted to tease this segment by bringing this up. I saw this Wednesday, and I said, we're talking about that Thursday and Friday because Cam and RC gonna be in the house. Ain't no way. I said, this ain't about the media. That man sat up there and brought up former players, you understand? And he was talking about former players who are now in the business who essentially don't have his resume. That's what he did. The floor is y'all's. RC and Cam, I can't wait to hear y'all on this. Take it away. Take it away.
Well, as I'm listening to it, and everybody knows how I feel about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I want him to win so bad. And the fact that it's not happening, as I'm hearing him say it, it's natural for you to be like, hold on, is he talking about me? And I'm looking at the reactions of Pat McAfee, and he like, hold on, is he talking about? You said everything that needed to be said, but one thing, RC. Who are you really talking about? Put a name on it. Since you went around every lane, and I'm the dude that's in the locker room that's like, hold on, bro, hold on. Who you talking about? Like, who are the former players that was asinine? Who is the media pundits that you got beef with? And let's just go on and keep it a big buck. Now, I don't want to have to assume. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to think, like, put a name on that. Because if I'm talking about you, RC, if I'm talking about you, Stephen A., respectfully, Molly, if I'm talking about you, I'm going to let you know. I'm going to let it be known, bro. Yeah. I don't like you. I don't respect you. I don't like what you're doing. And we going to handle that just like men. Yeah. But I'm listening at it, and I'm like, hold on.
You don't like the cryptic.
I don't like that. I don't like to read into stuff.
Yeah.
You know, tell me how you need me to feel because I need to know who you talking about. So
that's fair.
Yeah,
RC,
I think
where are you on
I find it extremely funny that he's saying this on a show with a man who, as great as he was as a punter, is far more famous as a pundit.
That's a fact.
And Pat McAfee. A.J. Hawk, who I felt like was a good player, right, is now on TV, and he gets to give his thoughts as well. Actually, Aaron Rodgers, you're being paid to be on that show to give your thoughts and opinions as a personality.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. He is not to me a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of the best and most talented quarterbacks to ever play this game. And he ain't no more. And his problem is that people are willing to say it. Are people not supposed to be able to do their jobs in an unbiased way and be honest about who you are as a player because you feel like you had a better career than them?
Yeah.
I don't agree to that. And for you to sit up there and say that there are these people who feel like they have now become the celebrity, or they have now become the superstar, or the sports center of old is gone. Yeah, bro, because times change. The reason that they're paying you $1 million or whatever it is to be on Pat McAfee is because you had a great career, and people are going to listen to your opinions, which people listen to my opinion. People listen to Cam Newton's opinion. People listen to Stephen A's opinion because those opinions are informed. And so my biggest problem with Aaron Rodgers, because to me, I'm actually not upset about what he's saying because I ain't no hit dog. And you know a hit dog, a holler. My issue with him is you're doing the exact same thing.
You're doing it too.
And the reason that you're getting this opportunity to say these asinine things is because someone is paying you who is exactly the same thing that you are now speaking out against. Yeah. This dude is once again tone deaf. This dude is once again unaware. This dude is once again arrogant to a point that's almost sickening because he says these things and he talks tough and he behaves in this way, but he ain't. Right? He has all of this cachet because he's a good player, but they ain't people around here that come around and talk about what type of leader you are. They ain't people that come around here and talk about wanting to follow you because of the type of man you have been. This dude is a fraud. Right? He's been a fraud, and he could throw a football, and that's where it stops. Once that talent ends, so does him, and so does he. And so to sit up there, man, and to be just blatantly hypocritical is funny and sickening at the same time.
Like, go ahead, Stephen A. I'm sorry.
No. Your words are more important on this subject than mine, brother. Take the floor. I'll piggyback off you. Go ahead.
I look at A-Rod, bro, and he's not used to being in this position.
Yeah.
And this position of you're not good anymore. Or it's not that you're not good anymore. Your record doesn't back, or your statistics doesn't back you being good. Because for most players in his position, like the Peytons, the Toms, the A-Rods, it was everybody's reason for them not winning. And when you empty the clip, or when you empty all viable options of what do you need, A-Rod, and that happens, he's not used to being in a position where it's like, dang, I don't have my stats to back up. I don't have my record to back up. So it's awkward for him. And I want you to succeed. I'm the quarterback. I looked up to you. Like, so I understand what it comes off, and you're completely correct. Hypocritical is the best analogy for this.
Absolutely it is.
So, Stephen A., I have a question. Can I share with the people here in sort of the world the first time we ever spoke?
Please.
The first time you ever called me?
Go ahead. After tell them.
So I was playing, and they brought me in to do first take, and this is when it was the whole media versus player thing, right? And I came on first take on the day that Stephen A. wasn't here, and I replied, or I answered a question that pertained to Stephen A. And I said something about him that was insulting, that was personal. The next day, Stephen A. came on air, and he came back at me the way that he should when I said what I said, right? And so there was a part toward the end where he said something to me that got outside of football, that got outside of the conversation we were having. So I called Galen Gordon at the time. I said, G, I don't play like that, right? I said, there's a certain way I live. There's a certain few things I stand by. And how he finished his comments makes me feel like we have a personal issue. I'm not going to go on TV and say this. I'm not going to make it a bigger deal. But I want you to tell him this is how I feel. And to his credit, it wasn't 20 minutes later that Stephen A. called me. And I remember I was going to eat, and we talked for an entire hour about, first off, how he felt and the way that he wanted to apologize if I in any way felt disrespected. And I did the same to him. And then we had a conversation about this business. We had a conversation about how you got to take care of one another. You had a conversation about how you have to relate to each other as professionals, as adults, and in the end, as black men. And there's a reason that no matter what's ever said about Stephen A., no matter what anybody ever feels about him, I will respect that man to the day I die. And it's because when I met him, he had every right to be disrespectful if he wanted to, and so did I. And we put that aside because we were grown. And the same way that you say put a name on it, Aaron Rodgers, if you got that problem, all of us are easy to find. if you
Exactly.
really want to.
You know, my whole point is I felt Cam, just to articulate, I felt like RC was getting at me personally, and that's not what he was doing.
Everybody
you know,
was
and that's what happened. But we talked about it as men.
Yep.
We actually did what most people in this industry don't do. Too many people hide, and they send hanger-ons and other people to talk instead of being man. One of the things that I say, it's not being big or bad or anything like that, Cam. I religiously tell people I'm not hard to find. Name the time and place, and I'll show up. That's why you see me. I don't have to do interviews. I don't have to go on a bunch of podcasts and all of this other stuff and do these interviews. Why do I do it? Because I know the platform that I have available on First Take. So if this is a hot seat that other people get to be in, whether literally or figuratively, who the hell am I to punk out and run when they call me to come on that platform? That's why you see me doing interviews and stuff like that. You see Aaron Rodgers and he's on Pat McAfee's show. I don't know about the fraud part. RC, that's for you and him because you know things that I don't know about Aaron Rodgers inside and outside the locker room. But the word hypocrite definitely comes to mind. And I'm not calling Aaron Rodgers a hypocrite. I'm saying his words were hypocritical that he conveyed on the Pat McAfee show because it's not consistent with what he claims to be. It's not consistent with the kind of things that he laments from other people. He's actually doing what he was accusing other people of doing. But he didn't have the courage to attach a name to it. So that's definitely problematic, and he shouldn't be allowed to get away from that. Fair enough. But in the process of saying all of that, I also think it's very, very important to point this out. You have people out there that really, really don't believe. See, if you're complimentary about players, no matter how good you were not, they're cool with you.
Yep.
But the second you're critical, all of a sudden you couldn't do what they could do. Well, we know we can't do what you could do. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Don't let me get black on us right now. Don't let me bring the black card into play. Here it is. I'm about to do it. You see, Howard Cosell, somebody I idolized, was a white man. Bob Costas, legendary, white man. Numerous people throughout the industry, all spanning decades, white men were giving their opinions all the time. Anybody had nothing to say? Anybody had nothing to say? But brothers get on the air and start talking. And then all of a sudden, it's problematic. And the industry, what has happened to the industry? You know what's happened to the industry? More people are gainfully employed. And by the way, you don't have to be on the field to play in order to generate revenue and income for yourself. You can actually talk and articulate yourself, study, know the sport, articulate your level of expertise like Ryan Clark and you do so well. Okay, you can do that and make money that way. Now they're complaining about that. What's going to be next? What do you want us to do? You see, it's amazing how people come up with different issues to complain about. Before it was the media. What I love now, RC, and this is why I have a smile on my face, it was just like when I got at Kevin Durant. And by the way, Kevin Durant coming at me the way that he did, I give him credit. At least he put his name on it, and he told the world how he felt. Now, obviously, I clap back, and that's the way it's going to be. And if we see each other, we have to have a conversation, fine. If he never wants to talk to me again, I assure you I won't lose any sleep over it. That's his decision. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. The brother put his name to it, okay? You know exactly where he stands and where he comes from. But what was my response to him? Who gets to talk about you? Before it was the media. Oh, now it's a former player. Another time it was a present player. Another time it was fans, so much so that you had a damn burner account. Which one is it? It's amazing to me that the modern day athlete, not all, not most, just some, it's amazing to me how they don't want to hear from anybody. No one can say anything. That is weak.
Absolutely. Let's leave it there.